Hello, this is Stan Harder, Land or Wildlife Biologist with Wyoming Game and Fish Department. Welcome to the 2023 hunting season proposal presentation for the Lander Wildlife Biologist District in Lander and Jeffrey City areas. This presentation will cover herd units that include the hunt areas you see on this slide, as well as hunt areas 64 in the Red Desert Pronghorn herd covered out of the Rollins and Sinclair Wildlife Biologist District, and Antelope Hunt Area 107 in the Sublet Pronghorn herd covered out of the Green River office. The ones that are on this slide are in, other than those, are the Beaver Rim Pronghorn herd 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 74, and 106. Sweetwater mule deer areas 96 and 97. South Wind River mule deer 92, 94, and 160. South Wind River elk 25, 27, 28, and 99. Green Mountain elk is area 24 and 128, and moose hunt areas 2 and 30 are in the Lander moose herd. The Beaver Rim Pronghorn herd unit encompasses 7 hunt areas between Lander and Casper, as shown on the map to the right of this slide, or right side of this slide, and listed below the title of this slide. The population objective is 25,000 pronghorn. Our postseason 2022 estimate was 5% below objective at about 23,700 pronghorn. With an increase in the fawn doe ratio to 60 fawns per 100 does from 46 the year before, and a long-term 5-year average of 52 fawns per 100 does, population growth seemed inevitable. The buck-to-doe ratio in our preseason survey in September last year was 47 bucks per 100 does, a decline of 1 from 48 the year before, and below the 56 bucks per 100 doe average from 2017 to 21. We try to manage this population for a buck to doe ratio of between 60 and 70 bucks per 100 does in what we call the special management category. However, we've been below that for the last several years, and it's continuing to decline following bad fawn doe ratios and subsequent low yearling buck ratios as a result of previous year's drought. Our harvest was just under 1,200 last year. The average was a little under 1,800 for the previous 5 years. We're anticipating the harvest to drop to below or right about 1,000 pronghorn this year, with the seasons outlined in the table that adjust the type 1 license numbers in most hunt areas and adjust those opening dates to the third Saturday of September. As mentioned on the previous slide, the Beaver Rim Pronghorn herd is estimated to be about 5% below objective at the end of the 2022 hunting season, and we would have expected growth in 2023 with the decent fawn doe ratio we had in 2022. But our current harsh winter conditions and likely continued harsh winter conditions through the next month or so, we're expecting higher than average winter mortality, primarily in fawns. That will lead toward lower buck to doe ratios, mostly yearling bucks next year. And as we're already below the ratio of 60 bucks per 100 does that we try to manage for, we're going to be reducing license quotas for the type 1 licenses in most of the hunt areas that were well below that. We also have 2 antelope hunt areas in the Lander Wildlife Biologist District that are not part of the Beaver Rim herd unit. Hunt Area 64 is part of the Red Desert herd unit managed out of the Rollins and Sinclair Wildlife Biologist District. With the severe winter conditions in the Red Desert herd unit being worse than they are around Lander and Jeffrey City, we're recommending basically a 50% reduction in licenses in Area 64 this year to account for those winter losses. Please consult the Rollins and Sinclair season presentation for more details on the Red Desert herd unit. Also in the Lander District is Hunt Area 107 on South Pass, which is part of the sublet herd unit managed out of the Green River region. We're recommending no changes in the 2023 seasons for Area 107. Please consult the Green River season presentation for more details on the sublet pronghorn herd. The Southwind River mule deer herd unit is Hunt Areas 92, 94, and 160 to the south of Lander mostly. And the population objective here is 11,000 mule deer, with our postseason 2022 estimate of 6,200 mule deer being about 43% below objective. We had a good fawn doe ratio of 73 fawns per 100 does in 2022, slightly above the previous 5-year average, and a good buck to doe ratio of 32 bucks per 100 does, also above our 5-year average of 27. With the antler point restrictions we've had the last few years, hunter numbers and harvest has been reduced. However, with our population being so far below objective, we are proposing no changes and not lifting the antler point restrictions in 2023 with the continued 6-day season. And because of some concerns about total numbers of deer in both the Dubois and the Lander areas, the Region L non-resident quota will be reduced from 250 to 225 for the 2023 season. As mentioned in the previous slide, this population was estimated to be 43% below objective and at the end of the 2022 hunting season, and we would have expected population growth with the good fawn doe ratio we saw in December. But harsh winter conditions since early December have caused higher than average winter mortality, especially in fawns. We've documented mortality in some areas, and it's expected to be continue through the month of March and April into May, with continued deep snow in many of the winter ranges across the herd unit. We did a midwinter sitability survey in early February, the 7th through the 12th, and we found mule deer in smaller concentrated areas, but larger groups than normal due to the deep snow. We saw mule deer in 74 out of 174 different subunits that we flew, with an abundance estimate of a little over 5,500 mule deer, which is exactly 50% below objective and represents a 12% loss between December and February, only a 2-month period. We're seeing continued harsh conditions with the 4 times average snowfall we experienced in January, average snowfall in February, and minimal melting over the last few weeks. We've seen a little bit of the southern exposures start to open up, providing some relief to the mule deer that are on those areas, but they are occupying a very small portion of their winter ranges compared to an average or what you might consider a normal winter. We had a buck to doe ratio of 32 bucks per 100 does, which is above the recreational management range of 20 to 29 that we normally try to manage for this herd. But with the population being 50% below objective and expected yearling buck numbers to be very low next year as a result of winter loss of this year's fawns, we're keeping the 6-day season from the 15th of October through the 20th, and also keeping the 3-point antler restriction to prevent overharvesting bucks and minimize hunter crowding, and also keep in pace with the Sweetwater herd, which has a different buck ratio problem, and you'll hear about that in the next couple of slides. The Sweetwater mule deer herd unit is 200 is 96 and 97 near Jeffrey City. We have a population objective there of 4,500 mule deer, and our postseason 2022 population estimate was about 2,800 mule deer. We have a good fawn to doe ratio at the end of the hunting season, early December, of 83 fawns per 100 does, which would indicate in most years good population growth. Even in the last 5 years, with an average of 75 fawns per 100 does, we've been a pretty stagnant population out there, likely due to winter losses of fawns, and also contributes to a low buck to doe, yearling buck to doe ratio, leading toward the total buck to doe ratio in most years being at or below our recreation management strategy for the herd unit. We are at 21 bucks per 100 does at the end of 2022 hunting season, and the long-term 5-year average previous to that was 19 bucks per 100 does. We try to manage for 20 to 29 bucks per 100 does, and we have not reached that very often in the last 9 years, even with antler point restrictions. The Sweetwater mule deer herd unit is about 37% below objective postseason 2022, and we would have expected population growth in 2023 with the really good fawn to doe ratio that we saw last year. However, harsh winter conditions, especially beginning in January 1st of 2023, have been causing higher than average winter mortality, especially in fawns. We've been documenting some of that winter mortality through different methods, but one of the primary methods has been through the focal herd management monitoring plan, where in December 2022 we collared 210 mule deer and outfitted with GPS transmitters, 200 collars, 10 solar ear tags, and a few mixed with both. As of March 14th, we've had 41 of those 210 mule deer have died, including 30 fawns, 8 does, and 3 bucks, for about 20% total mortality. We expect that to continue through the next few months as snow conditions are still pretty deep in most places out there, and we still have the heavy wet snow months of March, April, and into May to endure. The buck to doe ratio that we saw last year at 21 bucks per 100 does was just barely into the recreational management range that we try to manage for 20 to 29 bucks per 100 does. The last 3 years of antler point restrictions have not reduced harvest as much as we'd intended or expected, and the drought of a few years has caused lower than expected yearling buck numbers, and we expect that to continue into next year. So therefore, we're increasing the antler point restriction from 3 to 4 points or more on either antler to prevent overharvesting bucks and to reduce hunter numbers, also maintaining a 6-day season. The South Wind River elk herd unit is made up of hunter areas 25, 27, 28, and 99, with on-the-ground management in area 99 being covered by the Pinedale region. We have a midwinter trend count objective of 2,600 elk in the South Wind River herd, with the most recent count flown in January of 2023 showing a count of 3,130 elk. We had an increase of the calf to cow ratio above the 5-year average to 32 calves per 100 cows, and our bull to cow ratio was a substantial increase to 45 bulls per 100 cows, with a lot of those elk being observed in area 25 this year, coming from several surrounding hunt areas. The winter of 2022 to 2023 has seen some of the deepest snow conditions across the South Wind River elk herd unit in recent years, with Lander receiving 36 inches of snow in January, which is 4 times the average amount of snowfall for January at that airport weather station. That snow amount forced a lot of the elk out of Area 28 in the Red Canyon area in particular, into Area 25. We've seen documented movements from Area 27 and even Hunt Area 99 coming over to Red Canyon and into Area 25 in the past, and we believe that also happened again this year. With the snow depths, we ended up seeing a record number of elk in Area 25 and a high bull to cow ratio. And with that, plus hunter success being 84% for Type 1 hunters in Area 25, we're increasing the number of Type 1 licenses in Area 25 to 175 licenses this year, realizing that access in this hunter area can be an issue, so the modest increase of 25 licenses seems prudent. In addition to our regular hunting seasons this year in Area 28 and 127 nearby, just outside of Lander, we were able to successfully utilize a new Chapter 34 regulation to provide on-demand harvest of elk to prevent some damage problems and to reduce the potential risk of brucellosis transmission to elk from elk to cattle. We killed about 40 elk in that Chapter 34 hunt around Lander. The Green Mountain Elk Herd Unit is made up of two hunt areas, 24 and 128 near Jeffrey City. We have a midwinter trend count objective of 500 elk there, and our most recent count in January of 2023 produced a count of 551 elk. We've seen a slight decrease in the trend count averages over the last few years, which leads us to think that our population is relatively stable in that area. Our calf to cow ratio in 2022 bio year was identical to the previous 5-year average at 32 calves per 100 cows. We did see with the winter conditions out there a higher number of bulls than usual, with the bull to cow ratio increasing above the average from 40 bulls to 100 cows up this year to 52 bulls per 100 cows. The 2022 harvest was slightly above average at 256 elk killed in the Green Mountain Herd Unit. As you've heard thus far, winter conditions have been pretty severe in the Lander Wildlife Biologist District, and the Green Mountain elk herd is no exception, with deep snow 3 to 4 times the average snowfall in January at Jeffrey City compared to the average for January. And some winter ranges have had enough wind to blow the snow off of ridges that provide forage available to the elk. However, there's still a lot of deep snow and deep drifts elsewhere, especially between those open ridges. Since we saw a high number of bulls in January and success was 68% for the Type 1 hunters in Area 24, we're increasing the number of Type 1 licenses in Area 24 to 200 licenses for the 2023 hunting season, and realizing that access and hunter crowding can be an issue in this hunt area, we're recommending a modest increase due to those things. The Casper region, to address some landowner concerns in the Waltman to Gas Hills area, as well as observing elk moving off of the Rattlesnake Hills in Area 23 each year, are proposing that their Type 4 and Type 6 hunters be allowed also to hunt in Area 128 in an area in the northeastern portion of that hunt area from November 15th to December 15th to address those concerns. The Lander Moose Herd Unit is made up of hunt areas 2 and 30. We have a midwinter trend count objective of 150 moose. The most recent trend count was 238 moose, which is the highest moose count we've had since 1994. We also had the highest number of bulls counted in this recent count. The calf-to-cow ratio rose a little bit above the average of the last 5 years to 48 calves per 100 cows, and the bull-to-cow ratio rose from that average of 68 up to 79 bulls per 100 cows in 2022. However, the 5 hunters in 2022 only had 60% success rate, with 3 out of 5 hunters filling their licenses. Winter conditions in the Lander moose herd unit have been some of the most severe in recent years, with Lander seeing 4 times the average snowfall amount at 36 inches in January 2023, and winter conditions or the snow conditions forced those moose out into the open more, leading to the high count. However, we're expecting some calf losses due to deep snow, and we've already started seeing winter tick infestations in moose around Lander. So we're concerned about the survival of some of our moose, as well as having a low success rate the last 2 years and lower age of harvest. We're recognizing we had more bull moose, but we're only proposing to increase 2 licenses from 5 to 7, with the desire to see improved harvest statistics with success rates going back up to 100%, hopefully, and improved on the days of harvest, the age of the moose, and the antler size of the moose harvested. With type 1 hunts being now once in a lifetime hunts in Wyoming, we want to be conservative so hunters that get those licenses have a best quality hunt possible. If you have any questions about the hunting season proposals presented in this presentation, please contact one of the Lander Region personnel listed on this page, or better still, attend one of the public meetings, especially the Lander meeting presented on the next slide. If you would like to discuss these season proposals in person, please attend one of the public meetings listed on this page. The Lander Wildlife Biologist District seasons will be particularly discussed at the Riverton and Lander meetings. Thank you for following with this season presentation for the 2023 hunting season proposals for the Lander Wildlife Biologist District. If you have more comments and suggestions that you'd like to submit, please do so online at this address listed here, or in writing and mailed to the Game and Fish Department at the address also listed here. In either case, all comments must be submitted and received by March 29th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Thank you.